The World Cup is rigged. FIFA already knows who's going to win, and Messi will get every single call. Millions of fans genuinely believe the biggest sporting event in the world is fixed. And after looking at some of the most controversial moments in World Cup history, I can understand why. Today, we're going to investigate whether the World Cup is actually rigged or if football fans just can't handle losing. A lot of World Cup moments from the past have become super legendary. Not because of the goals, but because of the controversy. For example, we have Diego Maradona's infamous hand of God, which basically he just happened to save the ball and nobody questioned it. We also have Frank Lampard's goal that clearly crossed the line, but somehow wasn't counted. Questionable penalties, dubious VAR decisions, goals ruled out by inches, red cards that split the entire football world. And then came the 2022 World Cup. Every round seemed to create another viral controversy. There were fans claiming Argentina kept getting favorable decisions, which is what they're claiming in this World Cup, and we'll get to that soon. Messi was awarded penalties, VAR was involved constantly, and social media exploded with accusations that FIFA wanted the perfect ending to Messi's career. But are controversial calls enough to prove an entire tournament is fixed? Not exactly. So let's watch a video and see exactly why fans think the 2022 World Cup was rigged, and then we'll get into this year's 2026 World Cup to see if they still believe it's rigged, which I think it might actually be. All right, let's see what happens here.
In the midfield by the Croats. Pasalic, Kovacic, Perisic. What a wonderful team play. Brilliant.
Okay, so it's a corner, right?
Yes, a corner, Paris. Look at the play. It was fantastic from Kovacic before this.
Okay, so we see that a lot. The team thinks it was a corner, which I think it was a corner. Ref saying no corner, goal kick, Argentina. Maybe it was a mistake. VAR, should they have gotten involved? Probably.
Luka Modric.
Oh, I guess two things happened back to back.
Midfield, looking for a pass. The rider.
Let me guess, penalty? Oh, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. That might have been a foul on the goalie. Yeah, then he makes the penalty. Okay, that's one controversial moment. Okay, here we go. Yellow cards in the quarterfinal.
Ball moved by Argentina. Pass in the midfield.
Wait, did Messi just touch it with his hand?
A handball by Leo, and the referee, Mr. Mateo, blows the whistle for a foul on the previous play.
Van Dijk can't believe it.
Argentina arrived looking for the knockout blow, for the death blow, for the finishing ball, but it was...
And what's this going to be, like a yellow card? Whoa. Yeah, that shouldn't have been a yellow card.
A ball moved in the midfield. New trouble with the ball.
That looks like a red card.
Continue play.
A ball moved in the midfield. And a foul is whistled by the referee.
A yellow card on.
Whoa, look at the team. Yeah, that should have been a red card. Whoa. Okay, yeah, if he gets a red card, they're going to be with 10 guys. So what happened?
Everything is captured. Everything is captured.
That's only a yellow card? Okay. I could see why that might be a controversial moment. Okay, so it seems like when there's moments that could go one way or another, the refs have been taking the more beneficial side towards Argentina. Now, do I think that means it's rigged? No, but it is a little fishy that it keeps happening over and over and over and over again. And that brings us to today's World Cup. 2026 has had a lot of controversial moments, not only for Argentina, but a bunch of other teams. Now, does politics get involved with this? Maybe. There's been a lot of things that are questionable, starting with my team, Iran. Now, Iran, from the beginning of the World Cup, has had a lot of problems because of the political standpoint of what's going on. For example, they weren't allowed to stay in the United States, even though most of their games, I say most, all of their games were in the United States. They had to stay in Tijuana, Mexico, and then fly every single game the day before to start training and warming up for their game. Which, if you ask me, I understand there's political things going on, but leave soccer to the soccer players. And that's it. Like, they don't need to be here to speak about politics. All they're really trying to do is play the sport that they grew up loving. soccer, or should I say football. Now, on that team with Iran, we saw a lot of questionable calls, especially in their game against Belgium and against Egypt, where they were both games potentially about to win the game, but they were offsides by a toenail. Like literally a toenail. Like, look at this image. Literally a toenail. And I can't believe, like, I understand there's rules, but then again, it goes into the conversation of were these VAR lines drawn correctly or not? The next game we have that a lot of people are speaking on is the Egypt versus Argentina game, where Egypt was up 2-0 and then Argentina miraculously scored 3 goals in a few minutes to win the game. Do I think it's rigged? I don't think scoring 3 goals is rigged. But then again, if you look back at some of the footage of that game, there were some questionable moments. For example, when Mo Salah got fouled, but they didn't call a foul and there was a goal on the other end, where moments before you called a foul and took a goal away from Egypt. That seems a little questionable to me. And you could see by the coach's reaction on the Egyptian side, there was a lot of moments that they didn't believe were fair. Do I agree? I don't know. But that's why it's a controversial moment that we could argue about. The next moment is Lionel Messi not getting a red card. As you can see from this image, Messi clearly stepped on the guy's foot, which any other time for any other player would result in a red card. Do I think it's rigged? With this image, no. Do I think this should have been a red card? Absolutely yes. Because then we're seeing other moments from the exact same World Cup where this is literally a red card and you should be kicked out of the game. And then we'll see moments where like Messi is like giving like a little wink to the ref and things like that, or a little smile and the ref is patting him on the stomach like, good game. It is Lionel Messi. And if I was the ref, I'd be like, what's up, Messi? But it's so difficult to tell if these moments are truly moments where people are rigging it. The next questionable one we have is, of course, another Argentina game against Switzerland, where there was a yellow card given to the Argentinian player, and after the ref went back and looked at the VAR recording, came back and gave the Switzerland player a red card. Now, why, you might ask? Because he flopped. Now, I understand how that's a card, but this just seems kind of crazy that after Switzerland scores and ties the game 1-1 in what looked like was going to be a very close game, potentially going into the penalties before Argentina scored in extra time, and then you give them a red card to take them down to 10 men, of course, against Argentina, seems a little fishy. Next, we have the referee appointments. And what this means is if you look at where the refs are from each game, you'll see that they're literally from all different countries. The one part that people think might be a little fishy is the fact that the France-Morocco game was reffed by an all-Argentinian referee squad. Does that sound a little weird? Is there one that the Argentinians would favor to win over the other? I don't know, but in my opinion, your refs should not all be from the same country. If that's the case, like, you're obviously going to want the easiest route for your team to win the World Cup, so you're going to be officiating in a way where that's possible. Next, we have the controversial Donald Trump FIFA moment, where Donald Trump decided to come in and use his power to allow a player from the USA to play with a red card. Balogun from the United States literally got a red card against Bosnia and Herzegovina and wasn't supposed to play in their game against Belgium. But what did Trump do? Came out and said this.
All I did, I asked for a review because I didn't think it was a foul. I think it's a terrible, if they wouldn't allow, a top player, maybe the best, maybe among the best players on the team to play, I think it would have had a big stain. I related just that feel. I didn't tell them what to do. I can't tell them what to do. And they made the right decision because, number one, it wasn't a foul.
Now, was I happy? Of course. Like, it would be cool to see the U.S. go all the way to the finals. Was this fair? Absolutely not. And this has never happened, where a president of the country comes out and says, hey, FIFA, we should review this. I thought it was a complete joke when I heard people saying, oh, Trump was the one that got this done or got this taken care of. Apparently not. Apparently it literally was Donald Trump who came out and said this. Now, is that insane when it comes to soccer? 100% that's insane. Do I think it's rigged? That is the one moment that makes me think it might be a little rigged. Even the fact that Donald Trump came out and said that himself. Next, we have the lopsided draws, which basically means if you look at how each game is structured going to the finals, it's said that teams like like Argentina or these bigger teams have an easier route to get to the finals. Now, that I could see maybe when they're making it, they'll be like, ooh, these will be good games to see. But could that result in making an easier exit for certain teams? Potentially, depending on how it's made. Are there ways to avoid this? Absolutely. I think there should be a live lottery or something in the way where you are not guaranteed a certain spot, or you might not be able to play against these worse teams or these better teams. I think there's got to be a better way to do that. I think there's little things like this where you might be able to rig it. On-field rigging doesn't seem as common or as likely as some of these off-field moments. But then again, who knows? I'm just a guy that sits in front of a camera. Now, you might say, why would they be rigging it? It comes down to two things: money and stories. Basically, FIFA isn't just organizing football. They're creating stories. Why? Because stories make money. Imagine the headlines. Messi wins a World Cup. Again. Messi retires after World Cup. Again. Is Messi better than Ronaldo because he won a World Cup again? You know how much money that would generate for the world? Then you have stories like a massive underdog shocking the world. Like Cape Verde coming out of nowhere and their goalie becoming the head of the World Cup for a couple weeks. Like, these are moments that generate a lot of talking, and talking generates a lot of cash. Now, the question comes down to, could they really pull this off? If the World Cup were rigged, it wouldn't just involve one referee. It would require assistant referees, VAR officials, tournament organizers, dozens of players, multiple coaching staffs, broadcast crews, and somehow every single one of these people would have to keep the exact same secret. And that would be one of the biggest conspiracies in sports history. And despite decades of accusations, no one has ever produced concrete evidence proving FIFA secretly decides who will win the World Cup. Why does this feel so suspicious? Because football is one of the few sports where every single decision can decide everything. One penalty, one offside, one missed handball, one red card. That's all it takes. And because billions of people are watching, every referee mistake gets replayed from every possible angle, in slow motion, zoomed in, frame by frame. Sometimes the officials get it wrong. Sometimes VAR gets it wrong. And when that happens in the biggest tournament on earth, it doesn't just feel like a mistake, it feels personal. So the final verdict, is the World Cup rigged? Based on everything that's publicly available, there's no credible evidence proving FIFA secretly decides who's gonna win. But has the World Cup had terrible refereeing? Absolutely. Does it have controversial decisions that change the outcomes of massive matches? Without question. But then again, you could say that about any sport in the world. And if you have billions of eyes on anything or on any event, there's gonna be loopholes and there's gonna be people thinking there's something wrong with it. And that's why this debate will never go away. Every 4 years, another controversial moment happens. Another fan base feels robbed. Another conspiracy goes viral. And millions of people are gonna ask the same question. Was it really a mistake? Or was it something more? If you guys enjoyed, make sure you hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you guys next time.